Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer not coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city. Instead, day 3 from Radio Row SEC Media Days 2026 in Tampa. And glad you are hanging out with us. Plenty to get to over the course of the next 2 hours. Visiting with the media today, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, and let's see if I can come up with the fourth one. Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Florida. John Summerall was with us a little bit earlier as well. So, yeah, it's been an entertaining day, a fun day here thus far on this Wednesday. So we'll talk about all of those teams. J.D. Piquel is going to jump aboard. He's got to talk to John Summerall for his show, and then after he finishes that, he's going to come hang out with us for a little bit. So we'll get to guests as they show up over the course of the next 2 hours. Fired up, you were here. Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Our Wednesday shows always brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. And, of course, our coverage all week long brought to you by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction, Roofing, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber. We're off and running. It's our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
So let's get started. The day started, day 3. We've kind of been here for a while now, entrenched. Some people a little bit more tired than others. And we got Kalen DeBoer first in the main ballroom. And I'll just be pretty candid. It was remarkably boring for 20 minutes. There was just absolutely nothing, no personality, no substance, no nothing from Kalen DeBoer. That doesn't mean he's a bad coach or Alabama's not going to be any good. It just means it was pretty worthless from a content perspective. However, things turned around because John Summerall was awesome in the main ballroom. I had not paid much attention to him at Tulane, didn't catch much Florida spring football updates, but he was really candid, really personal, funny, witty, informative, passionate. He had a great disposition up there and was great. And I just listened to about 70% of what Pete Golding had to say at the podium, and he was awesome too. Very relaxed, very candid, which is you're not always. Like sometimes those guys get up there and they give canned answers, then they get poor questions, and it's just not a lot of juice over 20, 25 minutes. The last 2 coaches have been awesome. So let's start with Pete Golding because there's a local angle to that. There's a local angle to Summerall as well, which we'll get to in our next segment. But I want to talk about Golding. One of the first questions to Pete Golding was, what's your relationship like with Lane Kiffin? And I think obviously those in Oxford hope that he say, yeah, well, that guy bailed on us, he quit, and we're moving on without him. It wasn't like that at all. He just said, look, I didn't know Lane Kiffin when I took the job at Ole Miss. People think we knew each other at Alabama. We didn't because we weren't at Alabama at the same time. He was there before Pete Golding. And so I hired him because I wanted to move to Oxford to raise my I got hired because I wanted to move to Oxford to raise my family, and we spent 3.5 years together and have a great relationship. Lane Kiffin decided he wanted to move on and do something different, and that's okay. And he harbors no ill will for him, and Lane's competitive. They still talk. They still text. They're on really good terms. So as salty and spicy and awful as the LSU Ole Miss fan rivalry is on the internet streets, and as toxic as that town is going to be when LSU goes there in week 3 in September, that's not the case with the people inside the programs. It's not the case with Lane Kiffin. It's not the case with Pete Golding. That couldn't come as a huge surprise, but these coaches understand taking new jobs because they all do it all the time. Position coaches, coordinators, head coaches, nobody stays anywhere longer than 4 or 5 years. You either get fired or you move up. And Lane Kiffin was at Ole Miss for 6, 7 years and decided, hey, I want to take the next step. And Pete Golding gets that. And guess what? That opportunity that Pete Golding now has came because Lane Kiffin hired him at Ole Miss. They won a lot of games together. Lane did what coaches do. And Pete Golding now finds himself in the head seat in Oxford. So I thought that was an interesting talking point. The most passionate Pete Golding got the entire time I saw him on the stage. I had to come over and get set up for the show, so missed the last, like I said, 30% or so. But the most passionate thing Pete Golding was talking about was tampering. He was asked about tampering 3 times. We know that Ole Miss got in some hot water in terms of the rumor mill, not necessarily any punishment that they got, but they got into some hot water with the Luke Farrelly situation. If you're not familiar, Luke Farrelly was transferring from Cal, and he transferred to Clemson. And he was enrolled at Clemson. He was in class at Clemson. And Ole Miss continued to pursue him, and he decided to go to Ole Miss and left the Clemson program. That's when Dabo Swinney went out in that press conference and pulled out the receipts from all the text messages and just started cycling through the whole thing and called Ole Miss out for tampering with timestamps. And nobody in Oxford really cared because Luke Farrelly plays for Ole Miss now. And what Pete Golding said, I don't have a problem with. What he said was, if you quit your job, would you quit your job without another place to go? Or would you talk to that other place, see what the offer might be, what the opportunity might be while you're still employed with your current job, and then if you decide to make the move, then you quit your current job and you take the new one. It happens in every industry. It happens in coaching. It happens with athletic directors. It happens all over the place. And now it's an opportunity in college football. Do I wish that players and coaches didn't recruit players who were actively on other rosters? Yeah, I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish you could just wave a wand and no one did that, right? It would make life simpler. But I'm not going to chastise a coach for recruiting players in this era. I'm just not. And that's what Pete Golding said. He's like, we're going to recruit the best players. And he went as far as to say, and I really appreciate this, because I've talked to y'all about like PR stuff and about how I don't like a lot of the things that happen in press conferences because they're so canned and so impersonal. He said, I've been coached to answer this question a certain way, and I'm just not going to do it. And that warmed my heart, because I would like you to tell the truth. And he didn't go as far as say, yeah, we're going to tamper with everybody. He's not dumb, but he essentially implied that. I certainly inferred that when he was saying, look, we're going to go recruit players, and yeah, there are going to be times where there are guys that are in the portal and we may talk to agents. Like, that's just the nature of getting rosters together, because if you don't do that, you're going to get left behind. We make fun of Dabo all the time because he won't do what is required. And sometimes that's being a little aggressive and bending some rules. And, like, again, I wish it didn't have to happen, but I'm not going to jump down Pete Golding's throat for texting Luke Farrelly. I'm just not going to do it. And I do think that his answer on that was reasonable. If you apply this to the real world, everyone tampers with everyone. That's how the job market works. And so if you hire someone who's employed somewhere else, you're oftentimes talking to them about a new opportunity while they're still working at that spot. And that's not a way that I've heard anyone actually bring it up. The counter to that point would be, well, it's against the rules, so don't do it. I just don't really care. There are some rules that are in place in college athletics that I just don't really care about. I never got all up in a tizzy when Will Wade was getting in trouble pre-NIL, because I just felt like that's just par for the course. And Pete Golding brought that up, not the Will Wade situation, but he said, look, let's not act like college sports recruiting has just been on this moral high ground for 100 years. It was an incredibly refreshing answer. And I know that my listeners in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who love LSU, do not like Ole Miss, have had that dislike for Ole Miss ratcheted up based on what has gone on in the last 8 months. Don't want to hear me talking positively about what the Ole Miss coach has to say, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I thought it was a refreshing 20 minutes that I listened to Pete Golding in. And I'm sitting here staring at Rivers in her Mississippi State blood, and she's bummed out because she liked the way that Pete Golding was talking up there. It was just a refreshing deal. Now, he did drop a curse word, as John Summerall did. Every single person who has heard Pete Golding talk said before he got up there he would definitely cuss, and he dropped a BS in there. He was talking about having a lot of people on his staff to deal with that, quote, BS, so he didn't have to deal with it. He just wants to recruit and coach ball. So he did get there, but I didn't hear another one. No, we did get 3, so never mind. I stand corrected. We got to 3 in the 30 minutes, and that was kind of the betting over-under with Pete Golding. But to talk about Ole Miss entirely and not just Pete Golding's time up on the podium, I've said this many times. If you're telling me that the stock market price for Ole Miss is the Kiffin era, which is just about an average of 10 wins a season, I'm going to sell the Ole Miss stock, because I don't think Pete Golding for the next 5 years is going to win 50 games. I don't see them sustaining that. The people in Oxford would suggest to you, hey, we're going to keep this Grove Collective working. We've got a great athletic director and a great chancellor, and we've got the guy who's done a lot of the recruiting for Lane Kiffin's staff and Pete Golding now running the show, and we brought in an offensive coordinator that knows Kiffin's system, and we're just going to keep rolling with Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey, and we're going to be really, really good. I think they're going to be good this year. I don't think they're going to be a college football playoff contender year in and year out over the course of a 5-year Pete Golding era, because I just think that Lane Kiffin's offense, Charlie Weiss's brain power, and what those two dudes did to continuously put up points is going to be hard for them to continue to replicate. I think that Kiffin's a big part of this deal. So I would sell it, but I don't think that it's just going to be a deal where Ole Miss falls off a cliff. This year, with that quarterback, that running back, and the defensive nuts and bolts that Pete Golding has assembled that didn't really get dented by LSU in a major way, other than you obviously lose Daugherty and Newman Mielen, who are not necessarily huge pro prospects, but were very productive players for Ole Miss. I think they can get the next guy up at that position and play very well. Their schedule is a problem if you're Ole Miss. I don't anticipate them having trouble with Louisville, but LSU is a tough game. At Texas is a brutal game. Georgia coming into Oxford is a brutal game. You do have to go to Oklahoma again. So there are some landmines there, and I think that they probably lose 3 games. That's my prediction for Ole Miss at this point. Again, I think they'll be pretty good, and I think it'll be a slow decline. It's just not, I don't think they can sustain in Oxford what Lane Kiffin did, which was 50 wins in 5 years. It just seems like a lot. It was a heck of a run last year, and I think that Ole Miss fans will probably look back at that and go, that was our chance. That was the chance to really make a splash and get it done. I don't know how they would have stood up to Indiana. That was a really good team that Kirk Cignetti had there, but that was maybe their chance to get it done, and they got all the way to a lead with 11 seconds left in the semifinal, and it all went away. But I was impressed with Pete Golding on the microphone earlier today. I thought it was great. I was also very impressed with a guy with Louisiana, another guy with Louisiana roots. Both of them do. John Summerall. We're talking about Florida, and we'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Heat stroke's a major risk, especially for young athletes this time of year. So do what you can to try to prevent those heat-induced episodes. You can wear loose and breathable gear, work out outside of the peak hours, maybe early in the morning or later in the evening. Drink water and low-sugar electrolyte drinks. You can skip the alcohol. That'll dehydrate you really quickly. Use sunscreen and sunglasses. Those not only protect you from UV, but they also cool you off. Know your limits. That's probably the most important thing I will tell you. If you feel off, just stop. Shut it down. It's not worth pushing it in this part of the world, South Louisiana, in this time of the year. It's just really, really hot. If you are dehydrated, you need medical attention, find your nearest Ochsner Urgent Care at ochsner.org/UC. That's ochsner.org/UC.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
People think it's all about game day.
Let's go!
But the real work happens in the off season.
Spring practices, early lifts,
extra reps.
And we need a healthcare team that works as hard as we do.
At FML Health, our lay of the lake, we take care of LSU football year-round.
So we can do what we do best.
We trust the lake.
From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
Ever wonder why cane sauce doesn't come in a pre-sealed packet? It's because it's made fresh inside every Raising Cane's every single day. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view official rules and eligibility requirements. Because stronger homes build stronger communities.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the new 2025 Jeep Wrangler with $18,000 off MSRP.
$18,000 off Jeep Wrangler plus the 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely.
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, Rev Fiber, and Parish Construction and Roofing.
Back here on Radio Row, SEC Media Days 2026. We're brought to you every day by my friends over at Marucci. It is summertime. It is hot, but you still want to get some swings in. If you're a youth baseball or softball player, you can beat the heat, beat the rain as well, which is coming to South Louisiana at the moment. You can do that at Marucci at the Hitter's House. Get a membership. You get key card access to the Hitter's House. You can take some swings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do it in the morning, at lunchtime, after mom and dad get off work. It's just a great resource in Baton Rouge, a wonderful facility. So if you're looking for an opportunity to hit some baseballs, hit some softballs, work on some pitching, it can all be done there at Marucci in the Hitter's House. Get that membership access. You can check them out online at maruccisports.com. That's maruccisports.com. All right, we spoke about Ole Miss, who is going through the quote-unquote car wash right now. Florida was earlier this morning. John Summerall still hanging around. He was doing some interviews just behind us momentarily, and it's going to be with D. Piquel here coming up in a few minutes, and then JD's going to chat with us, maybe get an intel on what that conversation was like. But I'll tell you this. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I have not heard John Summerall talk a ton, a little bit in his time at Tulane, and then, of course, when he left and took the Florida job. But today he got a lot of exposure to him, and he was just really, really impressive. I think a lot of folks that follow Tulane closely in South Louisiana are certainly aware of that, but I absolutely was impressed earlier today. He talked about a few different things that I want to touch on, and then we'll get to some of the funnier stuff that he had to say later on. But the local angle for Florida, who LSU does not play this year, was talking about November of last year, because John Summerall was a very hot name in the coaching market. You knew that the LSU job was open. You knew that the Ole Miss job might come open. Arkansas was open. Auburn was open. Florida was open. There were a lot of different opportunities for coaches to graduate from the lower levels, and with Summerall winning his league at Tulane, his name was right there. And he was asked about the difference between him leaving for Florida and still coaching Tulane, and then Kiffin not sticking around with his team at Ole Miss. And this was the quote that Summerall gave. He said, I would say no two decisions are alike. Lane and I are friends, and we talked several times through the process of October, November about what it was looking like for both of our schedules and how things were going to unfold. He was like, you and I are going through the same thing in November. And I was like, no, Lane, we're not. If you leave, you're leaving an SEC school to go to another SEC school. It's a little different. I'm leaving Tulane. Summerall then continued, he said, I wouldn't have done it any other way. I may have on the front end maybe not been at my best every second for Florida because I wanted to make sure I left Tulane the right way. If any university told me I couldn't coach in the playoff game, I don't think I would have taken the job just because I couldn't leave the team I had coached all year. And so I think that's all probably true. I don't buy Summerall's premise that he would not have taken the Florida job. I just think he wanted to coach the team, and I think it was evident that Florida was going to let him do that. It's hard for me to get on board with Florida says you need to come now. You cannot coach Tulane in the playoff. Then he stays at Tulane and turns down the Florida Gators. That to me is a stretch, and so we'll never know, but that to me is a stretch. He left on great terms. He coached Tulane in the bowl game. They got smoked. He left them a big NIL chunk of change on the way out, and then went to Gainesville and hit the ground running over there, started recruiting. But he also suggested that he didn't think that Lane butchered the situation. And here's the quote. He said, so the calendar we have in college football right now, going from being a one-semester sport essentially to now we're playing our championship game in late January, it doesn't match up with the movement of coaches and players very well, so it's cumbersome to say the least. I did not envy Lane's situation at all. When we would talk, I felt awful for what he was going through and everybody involved because it wasn't fair to anybody. And I don't think that's really off base. I think it's easy for an LSU fan to go, you're getting the LSU job, that's little old Ole Miss. Who cares? Just go get back to the playoff and go to a national championship game. Ha ha, laugh at Ole Miss. But when you really peel it back and look at it, it was a crappy situation that is only there because of the calendar. If you could back recruiting back up to February and back the portal up to January, and let these guys finish their seasons before they have to make a decision, go to a new place, and hit the ground running with a new staff and new team, then this would be avoidable. Lane Kiffin, if the old schedule was there, Lane Kiffin could have worked through the playoff with Ole Miss and then left for LSU. Now, the tension was mounting there because you have a contract extension from Keith Carter to Lane Kiffin that Lane Kiffin's not signing. And that's the evidence that I kept going back to, that if he was going to stay at Ole Miss, he would sign this extension. He didn't sign it. And LSU's just sitting there waiting in the weeds, and we knew where things were headed. But it was all because of the calendar. And that's what John Summerall, that's the point he was making. Now, Summerall had some humorous moments while he was up there at the podium. There was a reporter whose phone rang while he was actually answering one of these questions about Kiffin, because that part of the quote, I was looking at the transcription of the quotes online in the portal, and the part where he breaks off because the cell phone is ringing is in the middle of the quote I used for my story on LouisianaSports.net. I had to take it and edit it out. But he said that the reporter would have been kicked out of a team meeting, and that it was everything in his power not to throw the podium while the phone was ringing for like 10 seconds in the ballroom. And then he talked about the playoff game with Tulane and Ole Miss and said that they beat the blank out of us. And then we played them in the playoff, and they beat the blank out of us. Again, he dropped two S-bombs that kind of loosened everybody up in the big ballroom. And he's got a rebuild on his hands here because Billy Napier's Florida team just never got out of neutral the entire time. Finished last year 4-8. You knew the writing was on the wall for Billy Napier when they lost to South Florida in week 2. Of course, that was Alex Golish, his quarterback, who's now at Auburn. They lost that game 18-16. They come to Baton Rouge. They play LSU. You got DJ Lagway throwing 5 interceptions, lose that game, get absolutely housed by Miami, and at that point you know that the Billy Napier era is over. But they somehow beat Texas in the Swamp. They never stopped fighting for Napier. They just weren't any good. They got hammered by Texas A&M, beat Mississippi State by 2. Then they lost to Georgia, and that's when the wheels fell off. They lose to Kentucky by 31 points, which is just inconceivable because that Kentucky team was awful. But by that time, Billy Napier was out of a job, and it was time to get things rolling in Gainesville. And so you got John Summerall, who comes in, and he did not give a commitment to a quarterback, but we all feel like Aaron Philo is going to be the guy. He comes over from Georgia Tech with Buster Faulkner, who was calling the plays for Haynes King at Georgia Tech. But they're going to run everything through Jaden Ball. Jaden Ball is here today at SEC Media Days. He is big, he is physical, he is tough. He was a really good player on a really bad team in Gainesville last year. He was third in the SEC in rushing, went over 1,100 yards, had 8 touchdowns. They're going to run the ball a ton with him. I just don't know if they're going to be good enough. One thing that John Summerall said today is that he was not impressed with the offensive line strength when he got to Gainesville. That's a red flag. If you've got an offensive line that can't move people, you're going to be in big trouble, especially with an inexperienced quarterback, a brand new coach, brand new weapons. All that goes into that. So that's a red flag for Florida. I don't like that at all. And then the schedule at Florida is always going to be pretty difficult. It's a soft open, but it ratchets up really, really good in the middle of October. They'll play Florida Atlantic, and then they'll play Campbell, so they'll be 2-0. They go to Auburn. That's an interesting game. I sat there in the media room, and I asked Chris Marler today, I was like, who's going to win the Who's going to win the Auburn-Florida game in Auburn? He's like Auburn. But that's a huge game for those two teams, for new coaches that come from the same conference to get that first big win. That would be huge. Then you got at Missouri, which will not be easy. They host South Carolina, and this is the point where the schedule turns for the worse on Florida. They got at Texas, then Georgia and Atlanta this year. It's not in Jacksonville. They're playing in Atlanta. Then they've got Oklahoma. They're at Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and then at Florida State. And who knows what you're going to get from that program these days. But that stretch where they got to go, where they've got Ole Miss, at Missouri, South Carolina, at Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. That's going to be too much for them, I think, to overcome. This is a year where there's no expectation on Florida whatsoever. But today, listening to John Summerall talk, I don't know anything about his X's and O's. I don't know anything about his ability to coach. But his personality, his demeanor, his delivery, just the way that he won at Troy and at Tulane, that feels to me like a pretty good hire. You never really know. I mean, everybody lauded the Brian Kelly hire at LSU, and it fell flat in year 4. So you never know. But I sense from listening to John Summerall and then understanding what Florida can become with that recruiting base and that stadium and the tradition that they have. They've got to catch up from a facilities and NIL perspective, but I think they've got the alumni base to do that. I became a believer in John Summerall today. I really thought he did a great job at the podium, and I don't think this year will be great for them, but I think that they will be good in time. So that's my thought on Ole Miss to start things and on the Florida Gators here as we chug along on SEC Football Media Days. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. That's builtbyrenaissance.com. We'll take a look and see what J.D. Piquel's up to. It looks like he's still working a little bit over there, so we'll get to him when he's available. I had a thought based on the schedule that's a little bit different than what I had been saying previously about LSU and rivalries and annual games. And it just dawned on me this morning. I wrote about it on LouisianaSports.net, and it's really evident on next year's schedule. So let's have a little bit of a generic SEC conversation, and when JD's done, he'll plop down and have a conversation with us. We're chugging along here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show from SEC Media Days in Tampa, Florida. Come back with us.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com, FABT.com. That's First American Bank and Trust. Started up in 1910, 116 years later. They are still trucking 25 locations in southeast Louisiana, so there's always one near you. Whether you're in St. Tammany or Tangipahoa Parish, maybe you're over in Metairie, down the Bayou, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, around Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, Jones Creek, First American Bank and Trust is there for you. It's local. If you're looking for a commercial loan, if you're looking for a personal loan, bank locally. And that doesn't mean bank with a small mom and pop shop that can't give you the resources that you need. No, 25 locations, they've got the resources. Every decision is made locally by First American Bank and Trust, by someone in southeast Louisiana. It's First American Bank and Trust. Check them out online at FABT.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
Bayou Ford is taking $13,000 off MSRP on the new 2026 Ford F-150 trucks.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Eagle 98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
The Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office protects and serves over 132,000 residents across the parish.
Keeping our community safe is our mission, and Rev Fiber plays a critical role in how we respond. Whether it's training in our special divisions, forensics investigations, or fielding emergency calls in our operations center, Rev Business connects our teams in real time, which is why we partner with Rev Business.
Get 6 months free of Rev Business Services. Call or click today.
The experts at Hood Dental Care want you smiling bigger and healthier than ever. New patients can get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-rays. A $376 value. With over 3,000 five-star Google reviews, 5 local locations, and easy online scheduling with same-day care. Hood Dental makes it simple to get started. And we always have other great giveaways for new patients. Check out hooddentalcare.com and schedule your appointment today.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view.
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by Parish Construction and Roofing, FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber.
SEC Media Days 2026, Day 3. It's Alabama, it's Florida, it's Texas A&M. It is, give me the last one. Give me the last one. It is Ole Miss, that's right. And it's J.D. Pickell, who's with us every single Wednesday during football season with us here at SEC Media Days. How are you, sir? It's great to see you.
This is one of my favorite events of the year.
It's fun.
Because we talk football, we all get together, but I get to sit in the seat right next to the man, the myth, the legend. The pride of Baton Rouge, Hunt Palmer.
That's me. You've been sitting next to really cool people all day, I've noticed, as I've walked by to get beverages and food and whatnot. You've got who have we been talking to today?
You know, today we had Coach Summerall, which was phenomenal.
I want to talk about that.
Got to talk to Vernell Brown and Marcel Reed, A&M's quarterback, and Mike Elko. It's been a lot of fun, and they've been really very gracious to us to give us some time.
Look, John Summerall was right down the road from us in Baton Rouge. He was in New Orleans, obviously, but I didn't pay a lot of attention to Tulane. I've got a team to cover here, so I didn't hear from him a lot. He blew me away in there today. I just thought his command of the room, his answers, I thought he was candid. I thought he was funny. I thought he was presentable. What is your take on what that era is going to look like in Gainesville?
Well, I want to mention what you just said a second ago, because everybody walking out of that big space walked out like they just saw the Odyssey in IMAX. Like, eyes big, like, whoa, that guy's sick. That's going to work. That's going to work. Like, even if I even hear like Florida State fans or people that you know aren't supposed to be Florida fans, like, yeah, I don't know about Florida, but I hope that guy wins. Like, that guy's awesome. There's something to that. I really believe there's something to that, and I think that people that are able to grip a room like that and generate belief usually there's a pretty good correlation and causation with being a great football coach and having your team believe in you. So if nothing else, I feel like Florida will just suck to play, and I don't know if that's really been the case consistently over the course of however many years. I think he would cut his arm off and bleed out at the 50 for a win, and Florida's missed that.
What's the infrastructure like in Florida? Are they ready to compete in this era? Like, I know in 2006 they were ready to roll. Just Urban Meyer can recruit 5 stars and stockpile them, and they were awesome. But they haven't been great for a while, and I'm just curious what you know about what the infrastructure's like and the cash flow and all that kind of stuff.
I'm making educated guesses here, Hunt,
right?
Which is always a great place to be in the month of July, educated guesses. I believe they're at a tier that is competitive enough when the pocketbooks are open. I think we saw them win 7 games in 2024, and that equated to a top 10 recruiting class. So it's a place that, similar to LSU, if you have someone to activate the brand and activate belief, there is no shortage of people that are behind you and can be the wind beneath your wings. I would say, I think for Florida at a current roster level right now, their questions suck. Their questions terrify me. Like the offensive line and the quarterback in the middle of the defensive line.
So in there, Summerall said, like, when I got to Gainesville, like, I was not impressed with our strength on the offensive line. I was like, well, that's not a good place to start.
in the SEC.
Yeah,
Like
that's no good.
You can maneuver around some things and hide some things. I don't think you can hide the offensive line. So that terrifies me. At the same time, I'm like, Jaden Bach can win you a game if you get enough of a push. Like, that receiver room is, an absolute deck of face cards. Like, you should be in a spot where if you can maximize what you're really good at, which I guess is the name of the game here, you got a chance.
All right, let's talk about Ole Miss. Pete Golding was up there. He was flying. He was kind of talking off the cuff. He said the number one rule of their program is be a good dude, which I laughed at.
Yeah.
He said, so that's not that hard. So I thought that was good. I'm curious your thoughts on them. I said in the last segment, I would sell my 10-win stock of Ole Miss football, but I don't think they're going to crash and burn.
No, I'm in the same place as you. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Hunt.
No, you're good.
I'm in the same place as you, man. Like, I can believe that in the preseason, Trinidad Shambles is the best quarterback in the SEC and top 3 in the country, and still say, I'm a little bit nervous about the defensive line. Like, they allowed 4 yards a carry a year ago when they made it a minute inside of playing for a national championship. The thing with me, Hunt, that's interesting, they missed, or excuse me, not missed, but they won like 4 one-score games. Yeah. Like, they were 5-1, 4-1 in one-score games. I don't know how good I feel placing a bet on that transferring year over year. And so as much as you can like Trinidad and Keywan Lacey, and they're always going to be frisky, I don't know that you can recreate the magic that last year was in the same formula. Now, if I'm way off and that defensive line is worlds better and they're a 2 yards a carry allowed operation, I'll eat my words. But until then, I think like 8-9 wins is a fair place to be.
Saw you chatting with Mike Elko for a while. I'm not the biggest A&M fan. I think that's been well publicized. However, I think he's really good, and I kind of like listening to him talk too. What do you have to say today?
He just seemed very at ease. Both him and Josh Heupel seemed a little bit more at ease than we're used to. But no, he seemed like he was encouraged from what last year was. He said he was encouraged from what last year was, but it's about doubling down. There's a great piece of content Billy Lucci and Tex Aggs are doing with their captain's dinner. And it's a bunch of the captains at A&M, and they're all sitting down having a conversation. And one of the common threads from our conversation with Elko and that piece of content is A&M doesn't feel like they've done anything yet. And if that ends up being more than just a slogan and something we're talking about, and really how that team feels, they have a great roster to go recreate what last year was.
They do. I don't know what to make of the quarterback because I've watched him just rip Blake Baker's defense to shreds for 3 halves of football over the last 2 years. And I've also seen them just completely go away on offense in the biggest games the last 2 years at the end of the season. Yeah. What do I make of that?
I think Marcel, and everyone's saying this, Marcel's got to take the quote-unquote next step. My thing is, like, if we can just raise the floor for Marcel, we got a chance. Like, if we can have it be we get the LSU second half, not the LSU first half from Marcel, like, we got a real chance to be special. I think the thing with him you saw last year, in my opinion, was we saw him try to do too much and try to be the main character when sometimes it might just need to be the supporting act there. I'm really interested to see what this new crop of skilled players on the perimeter looks like with him, because I think they got some. It was high level last year, but they have a different genre right now with Isaiah Horton and his catch radius. That's something that they haven't had there since Noah Thomas, and I think that's going to do wonders for him and hopefully his accuracy. And I mean, last year too, Hunt, like, his adjusted passing percentage was 70%. Like, he was dealing with top 10 level drops across college football. So him, Aaron Gregory, the freshman, Terry Busty, if he's healthy, we all know Mario. There's a lot of resources to account for with A&M outside.
Colin Klein moves on to Kansas State, and you promote Holman Wiggins, who hasn't called plays. Is that a concern?
It is. The thing I would say is I think Mike Elko has been anticipating Colin Klein leaving the entire time. I think they knew we have him this year, and that's probably he's taking some job. And so I think
Alma Mater called. That was pretty quick answer.
And even if they hadn't, I think Oklahoma State would have called. I think USF could have been in the mix. I think they knew they weren't keeping him. And so for Mike Elko to anticipate that and say, here's my guy, I am going to nurture and groom for this job when it's his time, I feel a lot more confident in that trajectory here with Holman Wiggins, and also skill talent's pretty good as well.
What do we think about Lane tomorrow? What's the vibe going to be around that?
Dude, if college football's a reality show, he's the main character, huh?
Something.
I mean, it's the life of Lane right now. LOL, that could be a good one. LOL, hey. Life of Lane. I don't know.
I'll make a note.
Maybe we trademark that. I'm just ready for the circus that it's going to be, man. Like, I don't know that you can adequately prepare for it. I'm sure he'll have a couple of bars in there that are barbs at Ole Miss and probably a line or two about Kirby. So I'm ready for the show. Like, I don't know that it means anything, but I'm ready for the show. That's what he is.
And look, he's going to give his opening monologue, and we'll see how long that is. But then you're at the mercy of the questions. And I'm just curious how many of the questions are going to come from Mississippi media, because that changes everything. He gets a question from somebody in Baton Rouge, like that's generally not going to be a big issue. But if he gets a bunch of questions from Mississippi, that changes that 25 minutes significantly up there.
I bet he's got something in the back pocket anticipating some Mississippi questions, and I bet he's got just a couple of haymakers. Just a subtle, couple mic drops I think he's got up his sleeve.
How are we feeling about the Tigers this year?
Feel good. I mean, I'm coming off of
we know.
an electric ride, which I'll put down as a DNF as opposed to an L.
Did not finish. There was no finishing.
There was no finish there.
The finishing was done by the Texas A&M Aggies in Tiger Stadium.
Wild.
In an empty stadium, except for the Aggies doing sawing horns off and whatnot.
Yes.
But yeah, it was not good.
So I'm not picking them to the Natty, unfortunately, here for the folks on the conversation with us right now. But I will say, like Michael Scott says, I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm ready to see this roster make a run at the playoff. I mean, it's this back and forth we're all doing right now of like, I love the piece of paper, but I have no idea what that piece of paper roster is going to equate to. It's tough to ignore. I think they'll be a playoff team.
Who's the best team in the league?
I'd love to give you a hipster answer and like give you something outside the box. I think it's Georgia.
What do you make of the narrative? It was so weird. They were first yesterday, and everybody's talking to Kirby about, oh, you've slipped on this, you slipped, and it's like they've won the league twice. They won the SEC championship game by 21 points. They got clipped in the Superdome.
By a dude at quarterback,
I don't know. You're supposed to just win every game? I guess they did for 2 years, but it just doesn't seem like they've slipped that much to me.
I think everybody wants that to be the story so bad because I think we're bored of Georgia. Is that fair? I think we're bored of seeing that logo at the top of the SEC.
Has yielded to Georgia fatigue.
I think it's a thing. I really do. And I also think, too, we're also conditioned as college football fans to like teams being undefeated in the SEC or in the BCS era rather, and in the 14 playoff era. That's not going to happen as frequently. It's funny I say that on the heels of Indiana being 16-0, but I think that's a massive outlier in the larger sample size we'll have here soon.
We appreciate a little bit of time. I'll let you get on back to work.
My guy.
J.D. Piquel, that's the hard count on 3. Doing great work. Appreciate him for giving us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. That's builtbyrenaissance.com. I always hate when I am getting ready to go to break and don't know where my live sheet is, because that just really messes things up. But I have found it, so we're good. We can go to break. We'll come back and close out the hour coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets online at onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com. Call David Duvall if you've got an issue in the bathroom, if you've got a crack in a shower, if you've got a crack in a tub. It can look insignificant, but what's going on beyond that? Water damage can be very, very, very expensive if it gets in the wrong spot. If you've got a crack in a shower or a pool and you have not made a phone call to get that looked at or fixed, call David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. Go to onebathandclosets.com, reach out to him and let him come in. Maybe it's nothing and he can just repair it. But if there is mold, if there is rotting, if there are significant issues in the walls and the floors and the ceilings, you're going to need a professional to handle that. David Duvall and his team can do it at One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
Raising Cane's is honoring Chuck Norris on National Chicken Finger Day. For every box combo sold on July 27th, Cane's is donating $1 to Chuck's Foundation, Kickstart Kids.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the new 2025 Jeep Wrangler with $18,000 off MSRP.
$18,000 off Jeep Wrangler plus the 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been in banking for over 35 years. I usually start about 7:30 in the morning, and I usually leave somewhere around 5, or if customers need me to meet them at their house or their business places, I don't mind going after hours. I have done churches, subdivisions, retail centers, hospitals, and nursing homes. And that's why we chose to live in this community, because of the values First American Bank has, that I can serve my community and my customers.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view official rules and eligibility requirements. Because stronger homes build stronger communities.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important,
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by Parish Construction and Roofing, FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber.
Number one, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Let me remind you about GoTro's Outdoor Power. They're online at GoTrosOnline.com. That's GoTrosOnline.com. National Hustler Deal of the Year, 2 of the last 3 years. GoTro family's been running that show for 21 years in Baton Rouge and Gonzales. It's family owned and operated, which gives you that wonderful customer service. But don't think that means they're small. They've got the largest parts inventory in Louisiana, the largest hustler dealer in Louisiana. They've got incredible deals on financing. 0% financing is available, and they've also got an extended warranty. GoTro's is the warrantor. You can add 2 years or 200 hours to the manufacturer's warranty over there at GoTro's Outdoor Power. So if you need a new zero-turn mower, you need a new hustler, get on by and see them. GoTro's Outdoor Power, 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. GoTrosOnline.com. All right, we're closing up the hour. I don't remember everything I say, but I remember a lot of the things that I say. And this segment is going to sound a little bit different than my initial take on SEC scheduling when the league expanded. They went to the 9 games, and you're seeing things. And it was reinforced, I think, a little bit today and yesterday, because, like, yesterday we have 4 teams coming through. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, oh, LSU's not one of them. And LSU doesn't play 3 of these teams. And then I started looking at the schedules. And LSU, do you realize this? LSU next football season will not play Alabama, will not play Mississippi State, will not play Auburn. No Auburn, no Alabama, no Mississippi State. Like SEC West Division stalwarts on the schedule. LSU's played Mississippi State more than any team in its program's history. They're going to go 3 of 4 years not playing Mississippi State. You're not going to play Alabama. You're not going to play Auburn, one of the most storied rivalries in the last 40 years in SEC football. And while I do feel like that playing Texas or playing Georgia is in a way the same thing as playing Alabama or playing Tennessee, but it is a little bit different. And an LSU football schedule that does not include Bama, Auburn, or Mississippi State is weird. And you're replacing them with Oklahoma and South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Like, those are not rivals that you had. And while ultimately it all comes out in the wash, and they did get it back onto a rotation where you're going to play every single team every other year. You have your permanents, which LSU will play Arkansas, they'll play Ole Miss, they'll play Texas A&M. But you lose such a big chunk of your schedule. I don't mind dropping one off here, one off there. That's just a big chunk of what LSU was doing. And it'll still be great. You'll have high-profile matchups, like playing Georgia and Oklahoma and playing, Ole Miss and playing Texas A&M. Like, those are big games. But it's a big change. And it's not as egregious as Stanford playing in the ACC. That's just silly. It's just silly. It's not as egregious as Texas and Texas A&M not playing for a decade, which is crazy. It is a relatively minor thing, but it hit home with me on Monday and Tuesday of this week because of how many teams were coming through. I was like, well, LSU doesn't play them. And I was like, well, let me look. And like this year, you do have the majority of those classic rivalry games. LSU's playing Ole Miss this year. LSU's playing Mississippi State this year. LSU's playing Alabama this year. LSU's playing Auburn this year. LSU's playing Texas A&M this year. Like, you don't play Florida, but you play Arkansas. Like, you got most of the SEC West as it once was constructed. But when I realized that, I thought, well, oh, yeah, it's going to rotate. And then next year, they're coming off. And that is odd. I stopped short of suggesting it's a disaster because you do have premier matchups, and it all does eventually work out. And you've got to make the dollars make sense, as they say. You've got to chase those TV markets and get those big brands. And I don't think that grabbing Texas and Oklahoma into the league is a negative. And I tell you every baseball season that I love Texas and Oklahoma being involved from a baseball perspective because that adds 2 more good teams. And every single weekend you look at it, and there's like 4 stellar series every single weekend. And I think LSU going to Austin in a couple of years, and I think Texas coming to Tiger Stadium this year is going to be incredible. It's going to be epic. To see those burnt orange jerseys coming out of that tunnel is going to be awesome to see. Just like it was cool when Oklahoma was there 2 years ago, when LSU went to Oklahoma this past year. And like, there are positives. I'm not trying to like complain and like throw cold water on the whole situation, but it just is odd that that's where we've gotten in sports, because every single decision that we make has to be involved in creating as much money as is possible in this never-ending arms race that everyone's in all the time. And that's why you've got to expand these conferences. And I don't know what comes of it. And maybe one day, and this is a conversation that we'll have until I guess it happens, maybe there's a day where you are in one big league that's got Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State in it, and there's only 35 teams in it, and then you kind of schedule like the National Football League, and you kind of throw out the geographical stuff. I don't know if that's the case. When I was in school, you had 12 teams in the SEC, and you played everybody home and away over a 2-year span, and you kept your rivals on your schedule every single year. And now you do play every team in the SEC every other year, but you do roll teams off. And that just is a weird feeling that maybe didn't crystallize for me when they made the announcement, but it certainly did over the weekend. Like, John Summerall was up there today, and he was lamenting the fact that Florida will not play Tennessee this year. And that's just kind of weird. Like, my childhood, there was no bigger game than Florida and Tennessee. It was Spurrier, it was Fulmer, it was Manning, it was Werfel, it was Grossman, it was Ainge. It was the biggest game, and it was in September every year, and it was just massive. And they're just not playing this year. And like, life goes on. Oklahoma and Nebraska don't play anymore. Texas and Texas A&M didn't play anymore, and we survived. And there are other great games that you'll see year in and year out. But it was odd to me. And y'all know like how I feel about scheduling. Like, give me the easiest schedule possible. I'd like to try to get in the playoffs. And losing Alabama off your schedule is generally speaking, is going to make your schedule more manageable. And I think LSU's schedule will be manageable next year, because I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be some sort of juggernaut, and I don't think South Carolina's going to be very good. But you will have to bring Georgia on the schedule, but you roll Texas off the schedule. And so it all kind of comes out in the wash. But it is odd to think about a schedule that is missing so many SEC West rivalry foes like we'll see next year. But LSU will play a lot of them coming up this year, and we'll talk a lot about the Tigers tomorrow. We'll also talk about LSU in hour number 2. We got to continue our in-depth chart series where we'll go out to the perimeter for LSU defensively and talk about LSU's cornerback position, which is very, very talented and very, very short on depth these days. But we're inching toward the end of our in-depth chart series. We got cornerback, we've got safety. We'll also do some special teams as we get to the end of the week. We've still got 2 more days here of SEC Football Media Days, the end of today, and then tomorrow where LSU will go. Let's see if I can do this by process of elimination. Tomorrow will be LSU, Arkansas, for sure. Those 2 have not gone. I would suggest we still have not heard from Mississippi State. And I'm trying to go geographically, and it's not clicking. What you got? Texas. Oh, Arch. It's going to be circus around here. I'm fascinated how many people stick around. This will be a talking point for tomorrow's show, not necessarily days, but we're up against the end of the hour. Last year was an absolute ghost town on Thursday, so they stacked Thursday with Steve Sarkisian, Arch Manning, and Lane Kiffin. I am curious to see if that works and that a lot of people stick around, because when we finish today, there will be 12 teams that are done, and so their media people could technically pack up and leave. Today's was really crowded because Florida is today, and being in Tampa, there are a lot of Florida media that are here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It'll be Tigers in the morning session, and we'll talk about that on our show tomorrow. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand. You can find that wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We always appreciate that. We opened with our Pete Golding reaction. Talked to J.D. Pickell of 1-3 Sports as well. Talked about John Summerall and Florida. We've still got to have discussion about Texas A&M a little bit later on today. So we got a lot to get to. We'll pause 10 seconds for 3 minutes for national headlines. We'll be back with more. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. If you're looking for the pool of your dreams, you just make one call. It's to Renaissance Homes and Pools. You call my guy Joey Blanchard, you say, hey, I'm looking for the pool I've always wanted. Whether that's a cocktail pool on the smaller side, whether that's a huge pool with all the bells and whistles, he can do either one and is happy to do it. He also can help you out with your outdoor kitchen. If you're looking for that outdoor entertainment space as the fall comes upon us, Joey's happy to help you out with that. They are local, and you work with Joey, who's the owner of the company, for the entirety of your journey, whether it's the consultation, the design, the dig, the finish. Joey's there every single step of the way. He's done it for dozens of Baton Rouge residents over the years, and he's happy to help you with it. Check out some of their great work on the website. It's builtbyrenaissance.com. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows. Or online at builtbyrenaissance.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $13,000 off MSRP on the new 2026 Ford F-150 trucks.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
People think it's all about game day. Let's go! But the real work happens in the off season.
Spring practices, early lifts,
Extra reps.
And we need a healthcare team that works as hard as we do.
At FMOL Health, our lay of the lake, we take care of LSU football year-round.
so we can do what we do best.
We trust the lake.
From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view official rules and eligibility requirements. Because stronger homes build stronger communities.
Are you ready for an internet experience that actually keeps up with you? Then you're ready to step into a new kind of reliability with Rev Fiber. When your internet works, the possibilities open up, and suddenly everything feels more connected, just the way it should be. Seamless enough to keep up with every swipe and every click, anywhere you are. So leave the buffering behind. 100% fiber, 0% runaround, where support is still personal. Rev Fiber. Visit revfiber.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The hottest team in baseball, the Red Sox, seeking a franchise record-tying 15th straight win as they host the Orioles in the first game of a doubleheader. Boston's up 6-2 on Baltimore, bottom 5. 2 RBI, 2 runs scored for Caleb Durbin. In the opener of a doubleheader from the Bronx, Pirates lead the Yankees 3-0, bottom 7. Mitch Keller's limited New York's lineup to just 3 hits. Yankee starter Garrett Cole has struck out 11. The quarterback competition at Alabama, among the topics addressed by Crimson Tide coach Kalen DeBoer at SEC Media Days today. Keelan Russell, Austin Mack competing for the job heading into fall camp, which is going to lead to a tough decision, according to DeBoer.
It's one that we're fortunate to have, and it's going to be one that when we do make the decision that we'll be confident we'll do a great job, because they are 2 guys that are well respected by our entire football team because of how they work, who they are as people, and the production and what they look like on the football field.
Alabama football coach Kalen DeBoer. NFL Cardinals rookie quarterback Carson Beck has agreed to a 4-year, $7.4 million contract with the team.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, we continue our ESPN Radio Rank 'em series with my top 5 defenses heading into training camp. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're on Radio Row. SEC Football Media Days 2026. Half that work week officially in the rear view mirror, working towards the weekend, and appreciate you hanging out with us. Got to talk about the Texas A&M Aggies a little bit later on in this hour. Mike Elko is on the podium in the big room right now addressing the masses, and that's why there's not as much commotion going on out here, because there's a coach talking in there. And we're going to talk A&M coming up in our next segment. So plenty to do over the course of the next hour. We're going to start with our in-depth chart series that we've continued on talking LSU football, gone position by position, started on the offensive side. Now we move over to the defensive side of the football. Handled linebackers yesterday. We'll go out to the perimeter with the cornerbacks today. Obviously, a gaping hole in that LSU defense with the departure of Mansour Delane, who, to me, had one of the greatest coverage seasons in the history of the program. Like, I would absolutely put Mansour Delane's 2025 in with Corey Webster in 2003 and Patrick Peterson in 2010 and Morris Claiborne in 2011, Derek Stingley 2019. Like, I think he was that good in man-to-man coverage last year for LSU. He was just phenomenal, and the Chiefs saw that. The Chiefs picked him number 6 overall in the NFL draft after Mansour Delane allowed 2 first downs last year in the passing game. Just incredible work by the former Virginia Tech Hokie and LSU Tiger. So now he moves on. He has gone to the NFL draft, and you've got to play without him. And LSU's got two guys who were very busy last year because of Mansour Delane. You've got P.J. Woodland on one side and DJ Pickett on the other side. LSU able to keep both of them. Pickett is the first guy that Corey Raymond got upon returning to LSU. We've talked about the Florida Gators today. Corey Raymond spent a couple of seasons there under Billy Napier and then came back to LSU. Brian Kelly admitted that was a horrible mistake to let him walk out the door. And immediately, Corey Raymond started identifying elite high school players and getting them into the boat and developing fantastic coverage defense. And LSU was great in pass defense last year, largely because of Mansour Delane and these two guys. Pickett is 6'5". He's 190 pounds. That 190 pounds number is big for a cornerback, but he doesn't look big because he's 6'5". He's added a little bit of weight, but he's got enough physicality to play at that size. Last season, he played in all 13 games. He started 3 of them. He was targeted 38 times, and he only allowed 20 catches. That's a 53% completion percentage. He broke up 2 passes, had 3 interceptions. He did allow 3 touchdowns. But for that work, On3 called him the National Defensive True Freshman of the Year, said he was the best in the country. Football Writers Association of America called him a freshman All-American. He also was physical enough to get up there and make 37 tackles, including 3 TFLs, and he had a pair of sacks. It was a very, very productive, very strong freshman season for DJ Pickett, and now can he back that up as a sophomore becoming the #1 corner? P.J. Woodland will be on the other side, and that's a dude who plays way bigger than he is listed. 5'11", 164, not very big, but he plays bigger than that because he's fearless. We've seen that from P.J. Woodland for 2 seasons. He was targeted more than any corner on LSU's roster last year, 42 times. And he only allowed 20 catches. That's a 48% completion percentage. He broke up 9 passes, had 2 interceptions, and did not allow a touchdown all season. He also made 41 tackles. So that's your 2 guys on the outside. And I think at that point, LSU's in really good shape. Like, Pickett and Woodland is a good enough 1-2 on the outside for LSU to feel like your DBU, you've got a top-level cornerback duo. I don't know if it's as good as Stingley and Fulton, but it's good. Beyond that, I have my concerns. Like, I just do. You've got Jakeem Jackson, who obviously Corey Raymond thinks a lot of. He recruited him to Florida, recruited him to LSU, kept him around at LSU, but he hasn't played a ton. He's 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. He's played 4 college seasons, and he's made 2 starts total in those years. He's played in 24 games, and he only played 84 snaps last year on defense, and 63 of those, 2/3 of those, were against Southeastern Louisiana, Western Kentucky, and Houston. So not a lot of SEC action for Jakeem Jackson. He was a guy that played against the lesser competition. I think Jakeem Jackson's the #3 corner. I think Aiden Anding would have been the #3 corner. I think Aiden Anding was emerging as the 3rd corner for this team after a redshirt year as a freshman. He was on track to be a dude for this team in his 2nd season, and we were in Tiger Stadium in the spring. He jumps a route in the right flat, intercepts it, and blows his Achilles. We saw it right there. They carried him off the field, put him down on the cart. They looked at him for a long time, and we knew pretty quickly that was going to be bad. He blew his Achilles out, so he's not going to play this year. So now you're looking at depth behind Woodland, Pickett, and then Jakeem Jackson, and it's like Michael Turner. He's long and rangy, but he's 162 pounds. Haven Finney, yeah, he was a very highly rated recruit, another one of these guys that Corey Raymond identified, got the length, got the size, got the speed, and brought him in, but he reclassified, so he's a year younger. So you're talking about a guy that's probably 18 years old. He's 6'1", 173. We saw him in the spring. Not huge, but he's here. And then you got Des Ellis, who's a freshman as well. He's from the line that Corey likes to pick from, where he finds a guy that's got length and is a good athlete, but maybe hasn't played DB as much. And Des Ellis was a quarterback. He was a quarterback at Franklin Parish. He was an all-state quarterback. He ran for 800 yards as a junior. But he's got the traits that Corey sees in his top corners. So they bring him in, he's a freshman. And you realize that you didn't have enough depth, so they went out in January and got Traylon James, who has played at Southern and Prairie View in the SWAC. And then they went and got Levante Williams from JUCO. But they listed him as a safety on the roster. Like, you just don't have the depth at corner. You are 1 cornerback injury away from being in significant trouble. However, if you don't have an injury, which is a big if, but if you don't, you're in really good shape. It's like the exact opposite of like wide receiver, where LSU's got like 7 guys behind the top 2 or 3 that are kind of all interchangeable in terms of their ability to play in the SEC. At corner, you've got 2.5. Like, I don't know that Jakeem Jackson is going to be a dude for you. But if you can keep Woodland and Pickett upright, and those can be your bookend cornerbacks for 12 games, you've got one of the best cornerback tandems in college football. I think they're that good. If one of those guys tweaks an ankle, tweaks a hammy, all of a sudden you've got a, heaven forbid, but we're playing, it's July, we're playing this scenario out. If Pickett were to go down for 3 weeks, you've got Woodland and Jakeem Jackson, and then maybe Haven Finney, maybe Michael Turner as your third corner in the slot. Now, what helps LSU here is that I do think that LSU has 3 safeties that can play and can help cover. I think DeMarcus Cooley, Deshaun Spears, and Ty Benefield can all be on the field at the same time. So if you need an extra defensive back, no, it's not a traditional corner, but you can put Deshaun Spears out there to cover. He covered brilliantly last year. You can put DeMarcus Cooley out there to cover. I don't want to do it for 40 pass attempts, but in some certain situations to get DBs on the field that know their assignment and have SEC ability, you can play an extra safety, which helps with your cornerback depth. But it's not an ideal situation at corner. That is, if you're asking me to list concerns about this team for LSU this year, somewhere in the top 5 is cornerback depth, because you just don't have it. And they realized it, but it was too late. And you had the season-ending injury in the spring that you just didn't want to have. Lane Kiffin did everything in his power not to have spring injuries. They didn't tackle. They took days off. They shortened practices. Like, he is trying so hard to keep guys healthy. It's something he talks about in press conferences all the time. But ultimately, the guys have to go play football. They got to go practice. And Aiden Anding's injury was not anybody's fault. Nobody did anything wrong. Nobody hit him. It's just one of those deals. You got a non-contact injury, and it costs you a season. So that's a huge bummer, and it's at a position you just really can't afford to have it, and they did. So it's a very encouraging spot at the top of the depth chart. It's a very concerning spot beyond that. That's just where I see LSU at cornerback. A reminder, if you want to get up to date on LSU's roster and get ready for fall camp and start to read some about football, for getting you in that zone here from SEC Media Days, I've got a breakdown of every single position on LSU's roster at LouisianaSports.net. Go to the Teams tab, go down to LSU, go over to LSU football, and it's all right there if you want to read about it. It's called In-Depth Chart. That series was 2 weeks ago, but I knew that we were going to revisit it on the air once I got back from vacation, and here we are doing one position every day. We'll hit safety tomorrow, and just a spoiler for that segment, I think Ty Benefield is awesome. We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. I want to give great thanks to our sponsors, FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction and Roofing, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber for making our broadcast possible from Radio Row at SEC Media Days from Tampa. Been a ton of fun, and we're still cruising along here, day 3. Talk a little about Texas A&M Aggies and Mike Elko when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Always love the opportunity to tell you about Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com, and they got some awesome deals if you can get by Fabry Chevrolet GMC on Highway 61 in St. Francisville before August 3rd. And you've got some time to do that. So go by and see them and get the awesome savings that they've got. GMC is offering employee pricing on the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali's. Now until August 3rd, you can get up to $8,000 off select Denali's. Chevy is also offering 0% APR financing for 5 years on the 2026 Silverado 1500s, plus no monthly payments for 90 days now until August 3rd. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're online at FabryChevrolet.com.
My name is Mike Krumholt, and I've been with First American Bank for 4 years. What makes First American Bank special is we're able to offer all the products and services that any other big bank can offer. What sets us apart is being able to give that small town feel that someone can pick up the phone and they can talk to someone or stop by the branch and get excellent customer service.
Hey,
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinecenterla.com.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. Now the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
Eagle 98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
Raising Cane's Texas Toast is a thick slice of bread, garlic buttered spread, grilled to golden perfection, and made to order just for you. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway. And
live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by Parish Construction and Roofing, FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber.
Lifetime Roofing, they're online at lifetimeroofing.com. That's lifetimeroofing.com. Go with the roofer that offers a lifetime workmanship warranty. That's the folks at Lifetime Roofing. That warranty also covers the materials that are backed by CertainTeed, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. If you're looking for professional installation of gutters, professional installation of siding, professional installation of windows, all those things on the exterior of your home, Lifetime Roofing is happy to help you with that. Obviously, we've got a tropical situation in the Gulf right now. Not sure, because I'm back in Tampa, what the impact is going to be in South Louisiana. But if you do have issues, if the rainfall causes leaks or exposes leaks and you feel like somebody needs to go up and take a look at your roof, contact Lifetime Roofing. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com. Okay, full disclosure, I absolutely whiffed on the Jimbo Fisher era at Texas A&M. I saw him recruiting elite players, and I was like, this is going to work. They're going to be good. And they weren't. They stunk because Jimbo didn't know how to call an offense anymore, and they just deteriorated. So with that in mind, that I was that wrong on that era, I'm kind of buying into this one too, because I think Mike Elko is really good. They are recruiting the high school at a really, really high level. Now, I know those guys can transfer, absolutely, but he's stockpiling talent. He's a really good defensive coach, and they've won a lot of games over the last 2 years. Now, I'm fully aware that the offense has absolutely disintegrated at the most crucial times the last 2 years with Marcel Reed under center. They got embarrassed in that Texas game in Kyle Field 2 years ago, the first time those two were reunited in conference, Thanksgiving night. SEC championship game on the line, college football playoff on the line, and Texas didn't even let them score a touchdown. Won that game. And so that was bad. And then this past year, they got off to that unbelievable start, and you're coming to the Texas game, at the end of the season, undefeated 11-0, and you get beat 27-17, a 10-point loss, and then you host Miami in the playoffs, and you can't score a touchdown. Like, second time in 2 years, it's all been on the line in your home stadium, and you can't score any points. And so that's a problem. Now, their offensive coordinator, Colin Klein, moves on to Kansas State, and they promote Holman Wiggins from within, who has not called plays. But he's been there, and you've got a veteran quarterback. But there's some things to like. Their playmakers look to be really explosive. You've got Ashton Bethel-Roman, who's got elite speed. They bring in Isaiah Horton from Alabama, who is a game changer with his speed. Mario Craver is a really good slot receiver that had a big year for them last year. Reuben Owens, a former 5-star recruit who can be a bell cow back. They got playmakers, but the question is not about the playmakers, and it's not about the defense for me. I think their defense is going to be awesome. The question is Marcel Reed good enough to win huge games, and do you replace 4 starters on the offensive line properly? And you're looking at a team that is probably going to start on the left side of their offensive line, Tyree Adams and Cohen Eccles, 2 former LSU Tigers that started for LSU on the left side of the line when they were healthy. Adams at tackle, Eccles at guard. If the offensive line is good and Marcel Reed improves over last year, he's not going to be the Heisman winner, but if he improves, they've got a chance to win the SEC. If the offensive line takes a big step back and Marcel Reed is not very good, well, then all of a sudden you've got a problem. And that is probably what a lot of people are going to project. They're going to project that Texas A&M doesn't score enough points on offense because they haven't in big moments the last 2 years, and Marcel Reed is kind of shrunk. But we're biased because we watched Marcel Reed in the second half in College Station 2 years ago and in the second half in Baton Rouge last year just eviscerate LSU's defense. That is burned in my brain. And if that guy shows up for Texas A&M, they can be awesome. That is the deal. I don't know that they're going to go on an 11-game win streak like they did last year. They clipped Notre Dame by a point in the game they probably should have lost because there should have been a false start. They beat Auburn by 6. They beat Arkansas by 3. They beat South Carolina by 1 in a game they were trailing by 100. And they came back and won out of nowhere. Like, a lot of things had to go right for them to get where they were. But I don't think it's smoke and mirrors. I think Texas A&M is going to be pretty good. I think Mike Elko is an elite defensive football coach. I think he's really smart, and I think they've got a lot of good players. So I think that I'm buying in on this era of Texas A&M football as being a threat. I certainly hope they don't win a national championship, but I do believe they've got a chance to be a threat. Now, you look at the schedule, and it's a light start. Missouri State, Arizona State, no Sam Leavitt, no Jordan Tyson, Kentucky. Those are 3 games they should win at home. Then you go on the road to Baton Rouge. LSU will have just played Ole Miss. That's a weird spot to catch LSU. We'll see how that goes on a Saturday night in Death Valley. Then they play Arkansas in College Station. They'll win that game. They're at Missouri. They should win that game. Then it's the Citadel. If they go to LSU and win, then I think you're looking at a team that is 7-0. And the last stretch here includes 3 road games and 2 tough home games. It's at Alabama, at South Carolina, home Tennessee, at OU, Texas in College Station. Now that game, Texas in College Station, it'll be Arch Manning's regular season swan song. I think there's a pretty good shot that one of those teams or both of those teams has playoff aspirations at that point in the season, and it'll make for an unbelievable setting in Kyle Field and College Station. I think Texas is better than Texas A&M. I think they've got more top-end talent, and I trust their quarterback more. But that's going to be a tough place for Texas to go and win. They've beaten A&M the last 2 years. It's just going to be a tough place for them to go and win. My gut tells me that A&M drops 3 games and does not make the playoffs. But I think they've got a real chance to do it. I do not think what they did last year was smoke and mirrors. I do not think what they did last year was a fluke. I think that they have the foundation laid to be pretty damn good. They're not going to be Kirby at Georgia. They're not going to be Saban. But I don't think they're going to be Jimbo either. I think they're going to be a team that consistently is a 9-3, 10-2, 11-1 type team, depending on how some games go late. And if that's the case, you're in the conversation far more often than you're not. And that's kind of where I think Texas A&M is at this point. So that's a look at the Aggies and Mike Elko, who have just wrapped up their time in the big ballroom just right there in front of me. So that's a full day of interviews that are in the rearview mirror for all these teams across the Southeastern Conference. Today was Florida, Texas A&M, was Ole Miss, and I can never get all four. I just can't do it. It's Florida, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and another team LSU plays. Alabama. That was the first one, and it was really boring. I talked about that at the top of the show. It was really boring. But yeah, Alabama was here. Ryan Williams, by the way, the fun fact about Ryan Williams. Everybody was talking about how he was a 17-year-old as a freshman. He's now 19, is going to have his degree in 2.5 years, and got married at 19. This guy is just doing things too early. He's playing college football at 17. He's getting married at 19. He's finishing college in 2.5 years at 20. That's impressive stuff, but that was the most interesting thing I found out about Alabama today. So let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk some Ole Miss Rebels with Brad Logan. We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com, swingeasygcbr.com. I know that the weather is coming in. It's going to be real wet in South Louisiana over the next couple of days, but that doesn't mean you can't play some golf. Go over to Swing Easy Golf Club, get into the simulator, and play Pebble Beach. You can play where they give that jacket away every April. You can play TPC Sawgrass. You can play Cypress Point. You can play Bethpage Black or St. Andrews. It's really cool. You hit your drives, you hit your second shots, you hit your chips and putts. You can card a score. Want to play by yourself, take endless mulligans. You can do whatever it is you want to do, and it's all in the comfort of your private bay with great seating options, a television, can crank some tunes, have a cold drink. It's a great scene over there on Segan at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Online at swingeasygcbr.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $13,000 off MSRP on the new 2026 Ford F-150 trucks.
Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Raising Cane's is raising $1 million on National Chicken Finger Day for Chuck's Charity Kickstart Kids. Join us July 27th and help us continue Chuck Norris's legacy.
Chuck was a personal friend of Todd and the brand, and I know this would have meant the world to him.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view official rules and eligibility requirements. Because stronger homes build stronger communities.
I'm Billy Schmidt, and I've been with First American Bank for 13 years. I have a passion of getting to know customers, getting to know their journeys, getting to know their stories, and being a small part of that, and just continuing that, and taking those relationships and expanding out into the community, just to make First American a household name. And people look at us and say, hey, what's special about you guys? You're part of a family.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinela.com and tell them Matt sent you.
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, Rev Fiber, and Farish Construction and Roofing.
Coming to you from Radio Row, SEC Media Days 2026 from Tampa, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, always brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Time to talk about the Ole Miss Rebels, which we've done a lot over the last 7 months. Brad Logan covers Ole Miss. I find that you most often with Ben Garrett over there on 3, but I think you're a little bit everywhere. Where can folks find you?
Yeah, mainly the Talk of Champions. We have our podcast there. We've been. It's funny, you know. I was talking to Ben. I popped in and out of the show, and I felt like I wasn't on there at all, but I had so many interviews loaded that, you know, that I was very much available. And it's just drinking from a fire hose over here. I mean, you get the players and you get the coach, but only a short amount of time. But let me say this before we go any further.
Okay.
I have really appreciated your work over the years.
Well, thank you.
And
I
then
appreciate
Rivers
that.
Huey behind the camera over here was great to put a face with a name.
Yeah.
And so you guys do wonderful work, and I'm just honored to be here today.
Well, thanks. We're thrilled to have you. Let's talk about what went on briefly, and then we'll get into the future. But how would you describe and characterize November in Oxford? It was crazy from afar, and you were right there in the middle of it.
You know, it's funny. When everything kind of went down, I don't think there's anybody that could have done a better job than Keith Carter, the school's athletic director. Whenever everything was happening, and I'll take you a little bit back to the game prior to Oklahoma, and I forget who it was, but that's when kind of we all started thinking, okay, LSU's at play here, Florida's at play here. He's not, you know, solidified as a head coach. What's going on? Well, we go to Norman, and Ole Miss wins the game. I have the video of Lane pointing down, and everybody said, I'm staying right here. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what he said. He's staying, and I'm going to clean my language up for FCC, but I'm staying here. He said, I own this place. That's what he said. And, you know, you fast forward, the Egg Bowl happens, and Lane is as disengaged as I'd seen him. And I think at that point he kind of thought, hey, I'm going to move on. And we have the Egg Bowl. Alabama beats Auburn there at the end. You remember, if Auburn would have beaten Alabama, Ole Miss goes to the championship game. That didn't happen. And so the season in and of itself was over from that standpoint, from a championship game. But Ole Miss had to make a decision, and Keith Carter was very steadfast that if Lane did not make a decision, he would not coach the team. That's exactly what happened. Lane goes to LSU, and as you can say, the rest is history. Some people have said he burned it on the way out the door. I'm not going that far. I think there's no easy way to leave a championship caliber team. There's just no easy way to do it. You can look at both ways, and I think so many things can be true at one time. I think, number one, LSU is an incredible job that has national championship trophies to back, that it's one of the preeminent programs in the country. But he had a program at Ole Miss that was going to be playing for a national championship. What do you do? It's a tough call.
Yeah, it's absolutely a tough call. What was your personal reaction when you heard, I guess that was Saturday or Sunday?
It was Sunday afternoon.
That Pete Golding was going to be the move. What did you think when you heard that?
You know, we were at the Manning Center when it happened. We were streaming live. That was the very early stages of Talk of Champions, and here we are months later. But we were streaming live from the Manning Center, and I forget the number of people that was watching. And I said, Ben, I'll tell you, I'll just take my laptop and computer, and we'll just go live from there. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. And I mean, it's like one of those things you see on a movie.
Yep.
And so I'm interviewing students, and and all of a sudden the computer just blows up. My thought process was that Joe Judge would be the interim head coach through the playoff with a chance to, as Rivers knows, big Mississippi State guy, Joe Judge, who I thought would be the head coach at Mississippi State. But we'll talk about that later. But Joe Judge is basically the quarterback on offense. He is the guy that calls the shots. He was Lane's right-hand man. I mean, Charlie Weiss Jr. is a terrific offense coordinator. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Joe Judge plays a large role in that offense. And I thought he would be the interim coach. He was not. It came out that Pete would be the head coach, and then it was full-time.
Right.
And that's just Keith Carter looking ahead, because I was like, whoa, I don't know about this. I mean, Pete and I go way back to Delta State whenever he was a player, and then he was a GM under Rod Roberts, who's now at Florida. So I thought, let's make him the interim. Anyway, fast forward, he goes 2-1 in the playoff. He's won defensive pass interference from playing from a national championship against Indiana. And as you can say, once again, the rest is history. I wasn't as much in support of it, but obviously after 2-1 in the playoff, you can see where he has evolved on the job. Nick Saban, the trio of Kirby Smart, it's just incredible to see what this program has done.
What's more important, the infrastructure around Ole Miss football that stays intact, or the changes that Pete Golding makes as now it's his program as opposed to Lane Kiffin's? What's more important?
That's a fantastic question. And one thing that Pete talked about in the media op just a little bit ago is he talked about taking the best of what he learned, and I'm paraphrasing, what he learned from Saban, from Smart, from Lane. And he talks about, to be an elite program, it's one thing to be elite on the field, but to be a complete program, you have to be elite off the field. And he's talking about being elite from putting the cleats on to putting the cleats off. So I think what he's taking away from what he's learned from everybody, we had him on our show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him about what's the biggest difference or one thing that he learned. He's like, look, he says, I'm not pushing away from your question, he says, but theoretically the players, I'm not sure I agree with this, but he said the players really don't care who runs them out of the tunnel. And I think in some ways that's probably true, but I think in some ways it's not. But he talks about how it's important to put the focus back on the players and not so much on the coaching staff. Now, that was a shot at Lane, because these two players that are up for the Heisman Trophy this year, being Kejuan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss, did not get that type of shine last year. This year they are, and I think the main thing that he's doing is putting the focus on the players, but he's implementing what he's learned from all those different programs, the feeding, the training table for one, the off-season workouts, all of that is kind of rolled into one, and I think that's what we're seeing change.
Brad Loken is our guest, covers the Ole Miss Rebels, Talk of Champions, also contributes to Ole Miss Spirit over there on 3. I'm curious about this football team in 2026. You bring Trinidad Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey back, and they're now going to be playing for John David Baker on the offensive side. Does that going to look the same as it did last year, or are there going to be significant differences?
This is probably not the answer you're expecting, but I'm not necessarily, from an overall value of a program, I'm not necessarily looking at what happens this year. I'm looking at what happens in 2-3 years down the road from a program standpoint, because this theoretically still is Joe Judge / Charlie Weiss's team. I mean, you've got the core of that offense back. Now, I will say the defense has changed considerably with a couple of players going into the portal, one being T.J. Daugherty. We'll hear from him tomorrow down in Baton Rouge. So Ole Miss had to get 2 linebackers out of the portal, which I think are really good. They've got a couple of defensive ends. I just asked William Eccles a little bit ago, tell me a little bit about Blake Purchase and Jonathan Maldonado, and his eye is lit up. So that's good news from a defensive standpoint. Pete said today, nobody's talking about the defense, really, because you've got Chambliss and Lacey. So I think they're going to be really good schematically on defense, and with, Pete kind of still having his hand on that. The problem with Ole Miss, Hunt, is their schedule this year is just absolutely brutal.
It is.
I'm selfishly, I love going to Tiger Stadium, and I wish this game were at LSU. I don't know why they went back-to-back in Oxford, so I'm looking forward to next year going back to Tiger Stadium. But the schedule, as you're looking at it there, on the road at Texas, I think that Florida game on the road after Baton Rouge, after LSU, regardless of what happens, whether you win or lose, you've got to get up or figure some things out. You got to go on the road to play John Summerall in Florida. So the schedule is absolutely brutal.
It is. Let's talk about LSU and that game. What's that going to be like in Oxford? Is it going to be as big a to-do as everybody's making? Okay.
It is.
All right. Well, tell me about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Let's do it. I mean, is it?
I've been very long-winded. I'm not going to be long-winded on it. Yes, it's going to be a zoo. It's going to start on Monday, and it's going to end sometime Sunday evening. And one team's going to party a lot harder than the other. And, look, Lane's going to say the right things. He may even say a little bit tomorrow. But, game week, he's going to really play it down. But he wants it to be an absolute circus.
Yeah, well.
I'll tell you one game I'm interested in. We can talk about the Ole Miss, LSU game. I'm interested in that Tennessee game because Josh Heupel kind of
fan the flames a little bit.
He threw a couple daggers, and that's not a guy that's sitting on a very cold seat either.
No, it's not.
He's someone that needs to figure some things out.
And he never says anything interesting either. So when he said that, I was like, that's not normal.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? And then nobody really laughed. They're like, did he just make a joke? So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know about calling the National Guard in, but it's going to be very heightened security, and I think Ole Miss fans. I'm crossing my fingers for people listening on the radio 104.5, but I'm crossing my fingers that there's nothing, untoward happen during the game. So, and I think in large part Lane kind of wants it to be a crazy environment, and I think it's going to be. So, yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. It's just, and I mean this in the kindest, most non-LSU way possible, it's going to be another night Saturday night in Death Valley.
It's going to be something like that. I'm curious if Ole Miss fans feel a little bit more resentment towards LSU right now, currently, than Mississippi State. Is that a possibility?
That's not a possibility, sir. That's a fact.
Okay, all right.
Unfortunately, Rivers apologized about this, but Mississippi State is not really in the stratosphere of this whole thing. Now, once everything settles down and, let the Bulldogs go to a couple of bowl games and maybe win an Egg Bowl or two, I think they're back in the picture. But, right now, it's funny. I had Peter Burns from the SC Network. He and I talk a lot about this Ole Miss because he talks about Oxford a lot, and I know he's a friend of the program. And we talk about how in the olden days you had the Billy Cannon run in 1959, Ole Miss, and then Ole Miss beats them in the Sugar Bowl, and then it circles around. LSU kind of goes hot and wins all the national championship. Ole Miss cools off, and now it's kind of circled back to where I think LSU fans are. They may say that it's not much of a rivalry, but yeah, it is. Especially over the last 5-10 years. Ole Miss has had LSU's number, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But I've said it all along, and you didn't ask, but I'm going to give my thoughts on Lane, what happens over his career at LSU. Here's what I think is going to happen. After following him and just seeing how good of a coach he is, I think there are going to be some good things and maybe one or two bad things. The really good things, I think he stays probably around 5 years, and I think he's going to win a lot of games. I mean, you look at how he's recruiting the portal. I think he may even win 1 or 2 national championships. And I think the NFL is what will have him calling. Or unless Alabama, if anything happens there. That would be the only job I think he would leave for. And I'm not sure he would leave for that. Now, he might leave for professional ranks. He may even stay longer than that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. But the bad news is when he leaves, he is going to torch it to the ground. And if he doesn't, then that'll be the first time he does it.
If there's a national championship in the back pocket, I don't think anybody will care.
If you give me a couple national championships, I'll pour the gasoline for you.
We'll get the next guy. That's it. Brad, we appreciate some time. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
That is Brad Logan covering the Ole Miss Rebels and talking about what's going to be the show of the year when LSU goes to Oxford, Mississippi to take on Ole Miss in Week 3, September 19th up there in Mississippi. We got one segment to go. We'll step aside, come back. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services, BoudreauxOnline.com. That's BoudreauxOnline.com. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. If you need a generator, this is where you go. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. It's the local option. You got a local team that will come out and assess your property, a local team that will do the installation of that Generac home standby generator, a local team that will monitor that generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if there's a mechanical issue, you guessed it, a local team that will come out and fix it, because the last thing you want is to spend your money on a generator and then not have it ready to go when the power does go out. Don't let that happen. Let the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical monitor it. If you've already purchased a Generac home standby generator from the big box store and you never hear from them and you don't get great customer service, well, get the Boudreaux's Boost. You can call Boudreaux's Electrical and they'll just be your service provider. They're happy to do that. There are 2 locations. One down there in the 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Or in Gonzales at 225-300-9389. That's 225-300-9389. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
People think it's all about game day. Let's go! But the real work happens in the off season.
Spring practices, early lifts,
Extra reps.
And we need a healthcare team that works as hard as we do.
At FMOL Health, our lay of the lake, we take care of LSU football year-round.
So we can do what we do best. We trust the lake.
From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Hey everybody, Drew Brees here. Over the years, I've learned that the best teams are built on trust, preparation, and doing things the right way. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce that the Breeze Dream Foundation and I are partnering with Parish Construction and Roofing. Together, we are committed to helping families prepare for hurricane season. That's why Parish Construction and Roofing, the Breeze Dream Foundation, and WAFB are partnering to provide one capital area family with a brand new fortified roof. Visit WAFB.com/contest to enter the giveaway and view official rules and eligibility requirements. Because stronger homes build stronger communities.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact.
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by Parish Construction and Roofing, FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber.
Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team, happy to help you with your group and employee benefits. They do property and casualty as well, but if you're looking for group employee benefits, contact the Highland Insurance Group. There are a lot of folks that have had uncomfortable renewals over the last couple of years, a lot of folks who are struggling on the bottom line to make sure that their employees are covered for health and dental and vision and all that. If you're one of those that have had bad renewals or are scared about the one that's coming up and want a second opinion, the Howland Insurance Group is happy to help you with that. As I tell you every day, they're not a magic bullet. They're not going to come in and knock 20% off your benefits. But they can offer a second opinion. They can offer a second option. They're an independent broker with contracts with many, many carriers, and they are happy to help you with benefits. So if you're looking for group employee benefits, looking for a better solution, contact Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com. Okay, I want to address one thing that Brad said there at the end. Really appreciate his time. Does an awesome job covering Ole Miss. Talking about Lane Kiffin burning LSU to the ground on the way out. And, like, that's a popular thing to talk about, and it's something that is not unreasonable to suggest. The exit from Knoxville was messy. The exit from Southern California was messy. The exit from Tuscaloosa was messy. The exit from Oxford was a disaster. So this has happened not like once, like 4 times. And it's very possible that it happens at LSU as well. I think if it goes the way that we were suggesting in the last segment, where Lane Kiffin stays at LSU for, call it 5 years with 1 national championship, if he does that and he wants to go to the NFL, the way the calendar lines up, he can coach through Thanksgiving. If you're not in the college football playoff, then you can take an NFL job in January. And if you do make the college football playoff, you can still take an NFL job in January. That's when those jobs are often filled. The Saints were really late on Kellen Moore because he had to coach through the Super Bowl, which gets you into February. But, like, oftentimes the NFL jobs open up after the end of the season, which is right in early January. And that's a reasonable time for a college football coach to make that leap. So I don't know that it's a guarantee that Kiffin will do that. I think it's unlikely he does what he did in Knoxville and in Oxford, where he jumps to another college job. I don't think he would take Alabama if they offered it, unless things were really not looking good at LSU, whatever reason that may be. But I don't. If he's really listening to Saban and he's really listening to Pete Carroll and I just don't think that's the job. I think he would have left a lot of places for Alabama. I don't know about LSU, and I just don't think that's a naive or conceited way to look at it. I just don't think it is likely. I think leaving Ole Miss for Auburn is very possible. I think leaving Ole Miss for Florida, very possible. Leaving Ole Miss for LSU, very possible. I wouldn't be fall out of my chair stunned if he left LSU for Alabama, but I just don't think that he would do it because I think I know what Saban thinks. And Saban, I think, thinks LSU is the job. So I think that it's more likely than not that it's a clean exit to the NFL for Lane Kiffin. Now, that's the last thing we really want to talk about today because Lane Kiffin hasn't even coached a game at LSU yet. He hasn't even gone through the SEC Media Days situation at LSU yet in the summer before his first season. So talking about the end is not necessarily something that we need to spend a ton of time on. But it's something that has, like, Brad didn't just invent that take. That's been something that people have talked about a lot, that, like, when he leaves, it's going to be a disaster. Like, maybe, but maybe not, because going to the NFL, the timeline, this was not an LSU Ole Miss thing. This was a timeline thing that he didn't want to leave in the middle of the season. You don't have to do that for the NFL. So I have a feeling that that might not be the case. I am, I'm having a hard time encapsulating my emotions about the LSU Ole Miss game in September, because there's a part of me that wants to go, like, I'm just over talking about this game. There's a part of me that goes, actually, it's a really big deal. It's going to be a must-see TV event, and it's going to be between two teams that are really good and could be an epic football game that we talk about for 40 years. So, like, there's part of me that's like, I'm so sick of this stupid, he's going back to Ole Miss, mustard bottles, throwing golf balls, that whole thing. And then part of me is like, it could be kind of epic. I'm not going to be there. I know that, but I do also think that there's a part of me that thinks it would be something to see. So we'll see. We'll talk about it tomorrow, I'm sure. I'm interested how many questions Lane Kiffin gets from the assembled Mississippi media that is here. There's a pretty good size of Mississippi media here. Super Talk's got a couple of representatives in the big ballroom. Ole Miss is 24/7 and on 3 sites are here. There are different podcasts. Locked On is here. Like, there's a lot of Mississippi people here, and I'm curious how many questions Lane gets from them, because those will be the ones that kind of amplify the situation, but we won't know that until he gets into the ballroom a little after 9 o'clock tomorrow. So we got just a little bit left to go. Let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas, 8 Athletics rookie Joshua Kuruda-Grauer fouled a ball directly off his groin area. Took a minute, then recovered, then got a base hit later at the at-bat. Who had to leave the game as he would have to undergo an emergency surgery last night to repair a ruptured testicle. So is this an early contender for manliest man of the year? Take it or leave it. Or leave it.
I don't know how early it is. We're in July. We're in the second half of the year. But, yeah, that's a little toughness. I'll take that. I'm sure there's some people that have done some things tougher, but that's not something that anybody wants to go through. And the fact that he got a hit, he just couldn't run and stay in the game. I did not hear that story. That did not make it to me at SC Media Days in Tampa. But goodness gracious, that does not sound fun.
Yeah, nobody wants to take a ball right off the what. So new 76ers forward Jaylen Brown isn't letting up. Well, he isn't letting this trade stop his summer as he's continuing to do side quests. So a video is going viral of Jaylen Brown. He's currently in the Dominican Republic playing in a casual baseball league. So vacation idea, going to the Dominican Republic to join a little baseball. Take it or leave it. Or leave it.
I'm going to leave that. That doesn't sound like a vacation to me. That sounds like going to play baseball. My vacations, well, I play golf on vacation, but it's more of a relaxing and maybe imbibing is what we like to do on the vacation, not play baseball in the Dominican Republic. So, I'm going to leave that one. I'll play golf in a golf cart, but I'm not going to go stand on the Dominican dirt on my vacation. That's not what we're looking for.
All right, so this one's a little different. So SMU is naming its future athletic recovery center after its starting quarterback, Kevin Jennings. The facility will be called the Kevin Jennings Recovery Center, with Jennings becoming the first active player in school history to have an athletic facility named in his honor. So this is a new day and age where we're starting to see active players get facilities named after them. Take it or leave it. Or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. This is weird. I need to read about this. I don't understand what the purpose of that for. Like, the kid's not that great a player. It's not like he won the Heisman Trophy. If this is some sort of retention plan so he doesn't go into the transfer portal, it's a little odd. Usually you name the buildings after the rich people that give money. Maybe you're telling him if he makes some NFL money, he needs to send it on back thanks to the recovery center. It would be one thing if it was like a famous injury that he recovered from and there was some meaning behind that. Like, this is a weird thing. I don't understand why they're doing it.
Oh, no, most definitely. So I try to do a little bit more digging, and it really just sounds like, you know, they haven't really released all the details behind it. Because at first, I thought it was like an NIL thing. Like, all right, well, you know, we're going to put a little NIL money into, you know, getting to the building. But it just really just sounds like they're putting in his honor. A lot of people are upset because, you know, he's an active player. Eric Dickinson doesn't have a building named after him. So, yeah, that's what's going on, Hunt. That's what's going on, Hunt.
He was pretty good. Guy ran for 2 bills in the NFL. Like, I mean, that just there's not. I don't get that one. There's not. If he won the Heisman Trophy, I would understand it. But he not even an All-American. Is he an All-Conference quarterback? I didn't even know the answer to that.
Yeah, when I think of Kevin Jennings, I just think of the Penn State game where he bleeped the bed. So that's it for Take It or Leave It. Or Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Wednesday. Our Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. That's builtbyrenaissance.com. Contact Built by Renaissance Homes and Pools for the home and pool of your dreams. They can make it happen for you. My guy Joey Blanchard is awesome. He's the owner. You deal with him from start to finish. I give you his cell phone number every single week. So if you're looking for that new pool, if you're looking for that new outdoor kitchen, contact Joey Blanchard. You'll walk through the process. He'll be there as you go through the consultation. He'll be there for the design. He'll be there when they dig the pool, when they fill it, when it's finished. He's happy to help you. It's 225-252-7745. Again, that's 225-252-7745. It's Joey Blanchard, Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. Builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, that's it for me here on day 3 from SEC Football Media Days. It's been a busy, busy show. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Started the show today with my reaction to Pete Golding, who I thought did a really, really good job on the main stage today. He talked about Lane Kiffin. He talked about tampering. He talked about a lot of different topics, and he talked about them pretty passionately and pretty candidly. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed our conversation with J.D. Piquel. We chat with him every single Wednesday, and he's here just right behind me currently. He was there chatting some SEC football. Brad Logan jumped on to talk a little bit about Ole Miss. I previewed the other teams that have gone through today, Alabama and Florida. So it was a great day. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound at Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review all our LSU content at Hunt on LSU. You can find today's in-depth chart on the cornerbacks. That will be posted up on our LSU channel for YouTube. Hunt on Saints is where all our Saints coverage is, but not a lot on that front this week, as we're all SEC football all day and night. That's it for us. So I'm going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow for LSU Day. Lane Kiffin will take the podium with TJ Dodd.
10.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
On select new vehicles to firefighters, police officers, 911 dispatchers, and EMT paramedics. Chevy's also offering 0% APR financing for 5 years on the 2026 Silverado 1500s, plus no monthly payments for 90 days now until August 3rd. On the GMC side, they're offering employee pricing on the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali's now until August 3rd. You can get $8,000 off on select Denali's. Check them out online at FabryChevrolet.com. Make the trip up Highway 61 to St. Francisville. Great customer service, great people. Fabry Chevrolet GMC, online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com.